On the 8th episode, yes, 8 episode of downloadable content, we did our first ever retrospective episode, talking about Sonic the Hedgehog on the 20th anniversary of the franchise. It seems only fitting that the last retrospective we do before we wrap this all up also goes to Sonic, as the franchise is set to turn 30 in 2021. So, here on the second to last episode of downloadable content, we'll take a look at what everyone's favorite hedgehog has been up to in the last 10 years. We gotta go fast here with Sonic, next on downloadable content. Hello everyone, welcome to Downloadable Content. I'm Brian, with me we have Ronny.
Hello.
And we have a Shanna.
Hey.
And just us two for this lovely episode, talking Sonic, because he's cool.
This is the second podcast we did today. The first was on the 3DS with Mario, and the second is Sonic. Now, did you put Sonic second because you're trying to subliminally put something in people's minds? Do the console wars live on in your heart, Ryan?
I mean, maybe a little, but you credit me with way too much forethought.
And the console wars live in all of our hearts because we are children of the 90s.
Yes. The friends we made were the console wars along the way.
I don't know. I'm just a console lover. I love all of my consoles. I never bought into that. Can't we all just live in a nice polygamous group of consoles all at once? It's okay.
Are you suggesting that all consoles matter?
That's a really? That's where we're going with this?
Wow.
Oh. I love when I can just catch Ronny off guard like that. That doesn't happen very often.
We're in the okay, just for anybody who's doing this, we're recording this right after the national election, and all of our brains are on politics, so I am just trying to get my brain as far away from that as possible. So hearing that and just having to process, I'm like, wait, what?
I love when I can just deck him right out with that. All right. Back to
That's how you get short podcasts. You break my brain, and then you guys get some time before it reboots itself.
All right, then let's hurry. All right, every single episode of Download can be found on video. Okay.
And thanks, everybody.
Yeah, that's it. Good night. Oh, alrighty, we're starting off on the right foot. But yes, if you want to hear all episodes of downloadable content, we can be found on our website, dlcpodcast.com, as well as iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and Spotify. It's all there for you. All the information, get downloadable content into your ears, but make sure you clean up and wear a mask. Wear a fucking mask. There's a pandemic on, people. All right. So, let's start diving right in. So, as I mentioned in the intro, our very first retrospective episode of downloadable content that we ever did was back in February of 2011. Where we talked about Sonic the Hedgehog when he turned 20. So
who was on that episode?
Who was on that episode? I should have had my little master file pulled up here, but I will get you that in just a second.
While you're doing that, why don't we all talk about our experiences with Sonic so people know where we're coming from?
I can already tell you who's on it. There we are.
Oh, okay.
Here we are.
Screw me then.
Yeah, we'll get there. You're too far away, honey.
Aww.
We had my good friend Nick Whitford, who has been on Downloadable Content many, many times.
Yep, I remember Nick.
And my friend Danielle Ellison, who was on that episode. So it was just the three of us then on that episode. And so now here, as he turns 30, I have you two lovely people for this one. So.
You know, for a second, I got confused. I'm like, I thought I was on that one, but no, I was on the overall Sega episode.
Yes,
that's what it was.
You were not specific. Your very first episode, Shanna, was the 19th episode, talking about video game music.
Ah, okay. Sounds about right.
Back in September of 2011. So,
oh my God,
I know, babies. We were babies.
You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, I have been. I absolutely have been. It's been a fun ride. But yes, so we're going to, mostly the discussion tonight is going to be mostly focus on what the Hedgehog has been doing for the last decade. Obviously, we'll talk about the classic games and all that fun stuff, because you can't have a discussion about 30-year-old Sonic without talking about the classic games, the Genesis games. But so we'll just dive in. Ronny, you wanted to open the bidding. You before I cut you off with my master file here.
I was just saying, I think it'd be nice for us all to talk a little bit about how we were introduced to Sonic, what we've done in the series, like our familiarity with it. Anybody want to go first? I can go first. You guys go first.
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
I got introduced to Sonic because it was the very first video game I owned. Going back to when I was a wee little Shanna, Christmas of one year, I got a Sega Genesis for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And it came with the in-game packaged cartridge of the original Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic 1?
Yes, Sonic 1. And it just started out like me and my parents played it to death, and then I continued playing it to death, as well as several other games, and in that moment my parents learned that they created a monster.
And history was made.
And history was made.
And here you are in your mid-30s, still playing it to death.
Still playing it. I literally was just playing Sonic 2 right before we got on, before we jumped on Discord to get myself pumped.
Lovely. I guess I will.
Okay.
I'll go next then. So my first introduction to Sonic was probably around age 5 or 6 or so. My first console was an NES, but my aunt and uncle owned a Sega Genesis along with their kids, my cousins, and my introduction to Sonic the Hedgehog was actually Sonic 2. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the first Sega Genesis game I ever played, and after that, I was so taken aback by all of the pretty colors and how fast everything moved, and I could not get past Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 for at least a decade, and it was just it was wonderful. I mean, I never owned a Sega Genesis until much later, until I was almost in high school, but that was my introduction to Sonic.
For me, up the street from where I lived was my friend Leon. His sister was my babysitter when I was younger, till I met them. But they are just the best people. They were the only black people I knew at the time. But they treated me like one of their own kids because I didn't have a great family, so I was always over there. And they were the only people who had a Genesis. So, I played a lot of Genesis over there with them. Mainly playing as Tails, but I got to play as well. And that's where I got to first play as Sonic. First play Sonic. At the time, I think, and maybe it was Sonic 1 first and Sonic 2 came later, but I remember playing Sonic 2 more clearly at the time. But I'm awful at Sonic games. I'm not great at memorization, and that's what a lot of Sonic is if you want to be able to go fast, is memorizing where to jump and what you're doing. Like, it just becomes second nature when you've done it enough. And I've never had that. But I love the aesthetic of Sonic. I love the characters of Sonic. So when Sonic Adventure and the adventure games came out, they were my jam, and that's where I really fell in love with the series. And I also watched all the animation, and I read some of the comics, and I was like, I was much more into the characters and plot of the game rather than the 2D games themselves.
Nice. Very, very nice.
So I kind of come at Sonic from a little bit of a different perspective.
That's fine. I mean, everyone has their own entry points and where they fell in love with the series, and so we've got a variety here.
I mean, I have an Amy Rose wall scroll on my wall right now, so.
And I have a plushy Knuckles. Actually, that sits on my computer desk.
I mean, I have a Sonic hat. That's
Oh yeah, and I have a Knuckles hat.
Yep.
I mean, that was always our PAX tradition.
That was always our PAX tradition because a certain me got you that Knuckles hat, I think.
Yeah. Yes,
well, if I ever join you guys at PAX, I'll wear an Amy hat and that go right along.
There we go. There we go. I actually do sometimes break out my Sonic hat for my daily WebEx meetings at work.
Nice.
If I don't feel like dressing up in Ren Fair garb for that meeting, I will just pop on my Sonic hat.
You guys will have to show me a picture of you guys in those hats.
We might have one on the Facebook somewhere of a PAX memory past. It might have been... Shanna might have been either wearing Knuckles or Ultros.
I've worn both.
I know you've worn both. I
do have an Ultros hat, too.
I know you've worn both.
I'm about to go fight Ultros in Final Fantasy on the PSP right now.
Nice.
All right.
Another note about Sonic, just another personal note, was it was also a personal favorite of me and my cousin. Like, we grew up together, we're the same age, like literally 3 months apart. And we wore out the Sonic games, and I might have told the story before, but in case I didn't, we love those games so much, and we love the soundtrack so much that we wrote lyrics to all the songs.
That is adorable.
We used to just like literally open up the option screen, and you know how they had the music test?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We would play them one after another and put on quote unquote concerts.
Shauna, do you know how adorable that is?
Oh, I love that.
That is adorable.
That's you all over.
I know, in a weird way, it's like foreshadowing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that was how me and Sydney, my cousin, that's how we jammed out, was to that soundtrack.
Nice. You have always been performative, Shanna.
Just a little bit.
Just a drop. just a teensy bit, but yes.
Just a little bit.
But you know, as we've said, you know, Sonic has been through the ringer these last 30 years. We've seen him, in glory. We have seen him just at his worst. And we have seen him on the upswing. And
there's a huge variance there.
Absolutely. It's like Sega has tried to do to Sonic, but hasn't been as successful the way Nintendo has been with Mario, I feel. Like, Nintendo has taken Mario and put him in a number of different situations, and they've been more successful with those experiments than I feel Sega has been with Sonic.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, but they've had some successes.
Yes, they have.
For spin-off stuff, Sonic Spinball was excellent.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just saying I don't think Sega has been as successful.
Yeah.
Like Sonic Spinball, as we start talking about that, that and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, also in that Genesis era.
Here's the funny part. I'll go. they've been more successful in games, especially their spin-off stuff. But when you're looking at media outside of games, like who didn't watch either of the two Sonic animated shows in the 90s? And unlike Mario, Sonic's got a good movie.
Now he does. Yes.
Yeah, I know it.
Like, I saw the Sonic. I think the Sonic movie may have been the last movie I saw in theaters before the plague, and I loved it. I'm like, holy shit! Like, this is amazing. And Jim Carrey as Robotnik was the greatest casting decision.
I believe the plague was already starting up here, so we did not feel
just as it was kicking off.
Yeah, as I said, that was the last movie I had seen in the theater.
And where I was going with that was like the plague had already kicked off up here. They hadn't closed them down yet, but Deja works in healthcare, so I wanted to see Sonic. I never did because we didn't feel safe going to the theater.
Have you seen it since, like on a streaming service or anything?
I have not. I'm going to, but I have not.
All right, then I will not tell you the plot. I'll just say.
So I already know everything.
Okay,
well, we have yet to watch it.
Okay.
We have it in our queue.
I will not tell you anything about it. I will just say that Jim Carrey is Chef's Kiss. Mwah. Just
I've seen enough. I've seen enough of the clips of him in the role to know it is wonderful.
Oh, I'm just.
Yeah, it looks about.
So I enjoyed it. I think you will as well. But yeah, I mean, some of the Sonic spin-offs, like Sonic Spinball, I'm looking forward to playing some of these again next year, because I'm going to be doing on Twitch a little like Sonic 30 celebration, and
Yay!
You know, you guys will get to see me fail a lot at the old Sonic games. And Shanna, you wrote an article recently on Sprites and Dice about Sonic Spinball.
I did. Not that long ago, I actually did like a sort of like a revisit piece on the game. I replayed it, and it still holds up for one thing, and it's really cool because for one thing, it actually, when I looked back, I mean, this was really before the boom of all of the spin-off games that were happening with Mario and even with Sega. So it was just kind of this weird one-off thing that was kind of meant to fill the gap when I think it was before Sonic 3 came out, if I recall correctly. But yeah, Spinball is amazing, and it kind of has a different vibe, which is one of the things I really liked about it. It's a little darker in terms of like the music and the atmosphere, but it really embraced the pinball aesthetic and pinball gameplay in a way that I don't recall seeing in a game in a very long time, to be brutally honest. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's peanut butter and jelly, how well Sonic the Hedgehog and how well the dynamics of Sonic's gameplay and pinball went together. It's just, it's a perfect combination.
It worked great, and I would love to have seen more of it.
Absolutely, I would love to see that one come back.
Yeah, that could be an interesting remaster. And yes, it did. It came out 3 months before Sonic 3. It was in November of 93.
Yeah, because I think what happened was like Sonic 3 wasn't going to make it out in time for the holidays, so they brought out Spinball to kind of fill that patch.
Yeah, quick!
We're talking about the spin-off titles. We haven't even talked about any of the core titles yet.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we spent in the first retrospective, we spent a lot of time on the core titles. But yes, if we want to briefly rehash briefly,
did you guys mention the Master System version, which is one that I was going to mention?
Well, given that I haven't listened to that episode since 2011, possibly. I do a lot of preparation before this, can't you tell? But
okay, we'll just ignore the core titles. We'll.
But no, I do remember we did mention the some of the Master System and Game Gear titles.
Yep.
But I mean, the core series itself. I mean, obviously that's what started all of this, and like at the time, just I have spent so many hours playing the 2-player the multiplayer of Sonic 2 with my younger sister and my older stepbrother. I like just the 4 zones of racing, of going head to head with each other, just fond memories, and even just that unique mechanic of you might beat the level first, but you might not necessarily win because of the Electoral College. I mean, you have to. This is on my brain, people. Get used to it.
Sonic's got the 271 at this point.
So
Knuckles is getting kicked out of office.
The fact that you need to win in 3 out of 5 criteria in each level to actually be considered the winner, which I thought was such a unique way of doing it instead of just a straight race.
It was different, especially for that time when it was about things like, I mean, especially in a game about speed. I mean, come on now.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna put my thoughts and some thoughts I've read about, and you guys being more into the old games. I mean, I played all of them. I've beaten. I guess I'll put. I'm not great at Sonic, but I've beaten all of the original games when I was younger. I'm just poor at them. But from really, the Sonic games are kind of misrepresented about being all about speed. The games are more puzzle memorization games about where to go, where to jump, where to do things, and the speed is your reward for properly executing.
See, I feel like the speed is also, the speed isn't so much a reward so much as it's your challenge. Because the game moves so fast, and you need to, you're right with the memorization and all that. It is far too easy in that game to fling yourself into some spikes or...
Well, what I mean by reward is the game feels better when it's moving fast.
Oh, it
so
does.
It's a reward to be able to.
It absolutely does, but it's... I guess in my opinion, the challenge of that game is trying to harness the raw energy of the speed and not going so fast that you're going to go off the rails or you're going to fall into a pit or something like that, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's you know, you have the speed, but it is also a bit of a test of reflexes because because each level's map is so sprawling. I mean, there are things, at least because you know I'm not a completionist or a speedrunner. Speedrunner? Wow, I'm not even. Yes, more rum. Because I'm not a speedrunner.
Why is rum gone?
Yes. Speed rummer. That's you are speed running, making rum.
Apparently, there are things that I very, very likely don't know about each of the zones in this original Sonic games because I haven't taken the time to explore every nook and cranny of each level.
Well, here's how you do that. You take the Sonic and Knuckles and you put Sonic 2 on it and you play as Knuckles and you just climb around all of the level.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you have. I mean, that's a great idea. There's just one problem is, you know, and this is what Shanna was going back to. You know, the speed is a core gameplay because, oh, by the way, you only have 10 minutes in each act before you die. It's like the Mario timer, but you know, obviously you have a lot longer than in a Sonic level than you do in a Mario level. I mean, you have 10 minutes, but I mean, it's like, okay, you can try to spend some time exploring, but it's like, okay, come on, you got to beat the level, otherwise you're gonna lose a life, and then you have and then you start back at the start of the level. So,
bringing up Sonic and Knuckles, that is one thing where Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3 plus Knuckles is probably the best Sonic title ever, but there is a bit of complaint that you can say in that Sonic and Knuckles was supposed to be Sonic 3. Like, they were not separate games. They separated them mid-development because they needed more money to be able to finish the games. Like, when they're selling you Sonic 3 or selling you Sonic and Knuckles, they are literally selling you half of a game.
But to be fair, at that point, we wouldn't have noticed because Knuckles didn't even exist.
Yeah.
Until Sonic 3.
No, I get that.
Yeah, I mean, like, in hindsight, it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, because if you look at it, like, if I'd have to pull the thing up, but Sonic 3 has half as many levels as Sonic 2 did. Sonic Knuckles had half as many levels as Sonic 2. When you put them together, they become one full-length Sonic game.
Which, when I was 9, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. That doesn't, like I said, it's still one of the best games of its generation. So I'm not gonna begrudge it.
Yeah, but almost from a marketing standpoint, I'm like, well, of course they did. That just makes way too much sense because they split the game, so they didn't have to create much more content, and then they marketed it with this whole like new and improved lock-on technology. And
which they had to create for this.
They did have to create that for this, so that is something. But in a weird way, it's kind of like they painted something and resold it to us, and we all bought it.
Yeah.
With the fresh.
I mean, it worked. It obviously worked.
Yeah.
And we're still talking about it to this day as possibly the best 2D Sonic game. We'll get to something later on that I think challenges it, but I mean, for 25 years, it was the best 2D Sonic game at least.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is just, like, when you're 9 and you don't realize that just Sonic 3 by itself has just 6 zones, and then, it was still, like, hours and hours of entertainment, and, I, too, I'm not the best at platforming games, so
me neither. I'm terrible at them.
The introduction of a save,
oh my god,
was a godsend.
See, that's funny though. Like, I'm really good at platforming games, but I'm terrible at Sonic.
I mean, to each their own. I mean, no shame here. But even, regardless of your skill level, just I remember as a kid, because my stepfather in particular, who despised and hated the fact that I enjoyed video games. I mean, he disliked video games, period. So I was never really allowed. Never had the time as a kid to sit down and play through like Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 in a single sitting.
How did you even have a childhood? I mean, good God, that man.
I mean, yes, but that's neither.
I know. I know.
But I didn't really have so I didn't wind up beating a lot of the original Sonic games until funny. I left my home and went to college in New Paltz, and finally I'm like, oh, I don't have, a 1 hour time limit on video games. So I didn't, these games that I had been playing since I was a kid, I could finally beat because I didn't have a parent to tell me you're not allowed to play. So, I bought the Sonic collection for GameCube and just went to town.
I think that was just it. Your limiter had been overridden.
That was one of the greatest things about my freshman year of New Paltz. It was my brain realized you don't have a time limit on playing video games anymore.
And then, I was gonna say, then the voiceover goes above. This was a bad thing. Ryan flunked out and never came back.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and somehow you remained at New Paltz.
No, I wish I had finished my entire college career there, but that's neither here nor there. No,
life happens.
Life happens, and
in your case, a lot of life happens.
Oh, yep. And the fact that I no longer had a limit on playing video games meant that my decision to have an 8 a.m. class in my first semester really backfired on me. So, because my brain went, but you started high school every morning at 7:30. You can start a class at 8 a.m., no problem.
Rookie mistake.
But at the same time, I wasn't playing video games until, 1 or 2 in the morning. But anyway, but going through these classic games finally, and finally managing to beat them, it was just like, ha. So this is what the later part of these games look like. Because
there is a final boss.
Yeah, because I'd be playing Sonic 2, and then after I finally managed to get finally figured out how to get past Chemical Plant, I'm just like, oh, there are other zones. Because
the whole game wasn't just 2 levels. Who knew?
Like I'd get to
It's like when kids played Castlevania for the first time. They get to the bat at the end of the first stage and they think it's Dracula because they're used to Atari games, which were very short. But no, the game just... And I've heard that from a couple different people who were like, oh yeah, that was... I thought that was Dracula. I thought that was the end of the game.
And... and as I played these classic games more and more, I realized, and I dabbled a little bit with some of the 3D games as Sonic made the jump to 3D. I realized, not a fan, personally.
Let me tell you about your wrong opinion.
It's like you're fine. You're entitled to your wrong opinion. That's fine. That's fine. I know a lot of people really, really enjoy the Sonic 3D games. I suddenly started playing the 3D Sonic and went, okay, gonna puke now. Getting motion sickness. Because the speed element was still there, and I'm just like, whoop, well, here we go.
I love the Sonic Adventure games, not the least of which because I finally get to play as Amy Rose. But just the fact they've let you play as several different characters. I believe the original Sonic Adventure had 6 characters. Sonic Adventure 2 had the 3 different teams with characters between each. Like, they were just wonderful games.
And see, the interesting thing for me is I fell off. I did the same thing. I fell off on the 3D games. To this day, I still haven't played them. I've seen plenty of footage of them, but I never played them. But it wasn't Sonic Adventure that threw me off. It was Sonic 3D Blast.
Okay.
Funny enough, which I feel like that's a title that's either not known about or known as being notoriously bad.
Yeah. They're not wrong.
Yeah, because for one thing, they were ambitious with it. But at least the Sonic Adventure games retained the speed, whereas Sonic 3D Blast was an absolute crawl. It was so slow. And, I remember, that was one of the first games that I played that I said, oh, wait a minute, I don't like this. Normally, I like all video games, but I don't like this.
You guys both left before Sonic 06, so, you made the right choice.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good idea. It's like, all right, thanks, I've had enough. I'm heading out.
On the other hand, so you guys, what year did you do the last podcast, Brian?
It was just February 2011, which is when we did our 20-year retro.
February 2011. So Sonic Colors was out, but Generations hadn't come out yet.
Yep.
Generations was freaking great.
Generations was good. And Generations was smart to play on the fact that you did have 2 different, no pun intended, generations of Sonic fans.
Yep.
Because
pun absolutely intended. They put that pun in the title for a reason.
They did. But, it's funny because I remember just a personal anecdote. Fast forward, a couple till, from my childhood to maybe I guess I was in college or somewhere around there. It was at the point where I wasn't playing any Sonic games. I was playing whatever I was playing at the time. And my younger cousin, who was probably about, 9 or 10, I was watching him play one of the Sonic Adventure games. Maybe it was that one, or maybe it was the one where he's got. It's like it looks like a Final Fantasy game, but it's a Sonic game. But I was watching one of them, and I was like, I was being an old an old buggard, and I'm just like, this isn't Sonic. What is this?
An old
You
man
kids
yelled
don't-
at Cloud.
I was literally like waving my cane at my younger cousin, like, you kids don't know what Sonic is. But at the same time, there's a whole lot of Sonic fans who are his age who got into Sonic from those games, who, to them, the stuff that we were into, that's old school. That's not that's not what they grew up on. So Sonic Generations really smartly capitalized on that and said, okay, well, here's column A and column B, and we're celebrating where Sonic is now and where he started, and we're going to give you the option to play all of it.
Yeah. Sonic had a dark patch there in the 2000s to the 2010s, but I mean, from basically when you guys did the last podcast, I mean, Sonic Colors had just come out. You had Sonic Generations. We had Sonic Mania. Like, we've had a pretty good run of Sonic since the last podcast. The only one that wasn't knocking it out of the park was Sonic Lost World, but even that had mixed to good reviews.
Well, there was Sonic 4 too, wasn't there?
You had Sonic 4 Episode 2.
Uh-huh.
Episode 1 was out before the podcast.
It was and I remember on that episode, I actually did not mind. I enjoyed Sonic 4 Episode 1. I was in the minority in that group.
Yep.
But
you were in the minority in this group too, I think.
And probably.
Shanna, where do you weigh in on Sonic 4?
Honestly, it didn't quite grab me. I think I played it a little bit, but then I kind of, I don't know, I didn't get hooked on it.
The momentum was off for me, and it made it impossible for me to play.
I certainly, the game does have its flaws, of which there are certainly many, and I'm still kind of pissed about Sega really not giving it the attention that it deserved. Because Sonic 4 I still consider to be like an incomplete game.
They could release Sonic 4 Complete, take it and remove the momentum and control things, just make it play like a normal Sonic game, and keep all the levels and everything, and just release it as an actual Sonic 4 and people would love it.
And there you are. It's just... And, I think Sega's approach to Sonic 4, making it an episodic game, and, coming out and saying, we'll only keep going with this if the previous episode sells well, I'm just like,
like, once you hear that, it's really hard to get yourself invested into something. Like, if it's planned out, and you know that there's going to be a 2 and a 3 and a 4, you're willing to invest. If you're like, we'll see how the first one does, it's like, well, then you don't have a lot of confidence in your game.
Well, it's like they go, what we're doing is we're encouraging people to go out and buy it now, not just wait for it to go on sale later, because if you do that, you're not going to get it. But what they don't realize is when it's we'll see if it ever finishes, there are a bunch of people who are going to go, I'm not buying that until it's finished. Mm-hmm. Because why would I invest into something that I'm never going to see the end of? On my wall right now is a manga called Skip Beat. Skip Beat had 52 episodes of an anime, and it ended in the middle of a goddamn arc with no ending, because they thought there was going to be more of it. That is the most disappointing thing we ever had watching anime, because we loved that series so much, and it ended so disappointingly that it tainted the whole thing.
I mean, yeah, that wrecks it for you. That's also why my husband and I sit here and we pray every day that nothing ever happens to Oda, because we are huge One Piece fans.
Let's be honest here. Oda's got like a basement full of his sketches for what to do if he dies.
I know, he better have a game plan. Because that's like, honestly, no joke, when the pandemic started and One Piece went on hiatus, John and I were like, they need to put him in a bubble and just make sure he's okay. Make sure he's all right. But anyways.
But yeah, so Sonic 4, I mean, like, I did enjoy, for the most part. I mean, it was not a bad game in my estimation, but there was so much potential, and Sega could have executed that so so much.
And hey, it was
better.
one of the few games released on the Ouya, so it had that going for it.
Oh, goody! But yes, Sonic Generations is in my Steam library. I have actually not touched it.
You really should.
I've been told to play it, and I will get to that because a lot of the old guard is telling me it's really good. So I'm like, all right, I will.
Have you played any of Sonic Mania?
I've beaten Sonic Mania. I loved Sonic Mania so much that I broke my own rule about not having more than one copy of a game. I have it on Switch and I have it on Steam. And Sonic Mania, when that came out in August 2017, that was the game I had been waiting for 25 years.
Same.
When that game came out and I started...
How about just all the freaking playable characters they gave you?
And so let's dive into Sonic Mania. Why the hell not?
Sonic Mania is when I realized in the modern day that I am terrible at Sonic games and I had to drop it, but I did bash my head against it for several hours, trying to have fun because it's a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I still have not.
I'm just not good enough.
I get stuck on level 5 every single time. I don't care. I still will keep giving it my time. And
my
energy.
favorite bit of story, favorite bit of trivia about Sonic Mania, and this is we talked about we made a joke in the last episode, Ronny, about Nintendo and their fun police. Anytime somebody does a fan work, in come the lawyers from the Mushroom Kingdom. Whereas Sonic Mania was made by fans and developers in the ROM hacking community.
Yep.
Where Sega saw what these developers and these fans of Sonic were doing and said, "We want you to make a Sonic game for us."
Yeah. Just to clarify, what they were working on was not Sonic Mania.
No.
What they were working on got Sega interested and they hired them and then they made Sonic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying,
because I've seen people mistake it the other way around before, and that is not what happened.
No, they were not working on Sonic Mania, and then Sega went, "Oh, hey, we'll get this from you." No, it was just Sega. Fans caught Sega's attention, and instead of sending lawyers after them, Sega went, "Hey, we like you."
I was gonna say, so there are a couple companies and game developers who've been very, very good to the fan community. Sega is the biggest one. Scott Cawthon with Five Nights at Freddy's has been so good to his fan community, and same thing with Toby Fox and Undertale. You're not gonna see takedown notices from any of them. And in fact, with FNAF, he's actually making deals with the indie people to get them on actual platforms. So,
smart move, because
yeah,
you're literally getting firsthand. You're getting firsthand what the fans want.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Directly from the fan community. It's only going to be a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about Sonic, but Scott Cawthon had started his FNAF fan game initiative where he's getting the biggest fan creators and getting them to make sequels for their games, and he is funding them. No control. He's just funding them to do it, and he's going to get them all released on Nintendo Switch and the major ones, and he just gets a cut of the money. And that's smart. A+, man. That's what we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And Sega did a similar thing with this, going, "Hey, you guys are doing great work. You guys are making Sonic as good. You guys are making Sonic better than we've made Sonic in a while. How would you like to be making Sonic?" Yes, please.
Please, yeah, yes. But I have Sonic Mania. I've beaten Sonic Mania, and just just again popping this game onto the Switch for the first time and just starting anew with starting first level. You see the fly in from Tails on the Tails plane. And
they brought that right back.
Right back. So it picks up right after it's I think it's set. It's set right after Sonic and Knuckles. And you see that plane, and you hear the music, and it's the Genesis graphics, or very polished Genesis Plus, as I call it. You see Dr. Robotnik, they grab I'm watching this thing, they grab the ruby, the Phantom Ruby, out of the ground, and they get thrown back in time. And when the scene clears and you see Green Hill, my inner 7-year-old and my outer 31-year-old screamed.
Ditto. I literally felt like a kid again, just sitting there on my floor in front of in front of the TV in my living room.
And I just see, Green Hill Zone Act 1. And I'm just, ah! And then you very quickly realize, like a minute or two into the game, that this is not your father's Green Hill Zone. The layout is different because all that muscle memory that has lived with me for 20 some odd years is just like, all right, I know how to get through Green Hill Zone. I know where the big ring is to get to the Chaos Emerald stage. And then you realize very quickly, oh no, they changed the layout. because if you've noticed, like what the team did for Sonic Mania was the first act is very reminiscent of the original Genesis. It's not the exact same layout, and then Act 2 is a unique beast all its own.
Yeah, Act 2 is basically set in the same zone, but it's a completely different level.
Yep. And they did that all throughout. Like, I was most impressed with, you get to Chemical Plant, which is the second zone, and again, same music, but you get to Act 2 of Chemical Plant, and you start getting the mechanics like you have to jump on these syringes, which turns the chemical a different color, and it makes you bounce really high. And I'm like, that's not in the original Sonic 2. And I loved the obvious throwbacks to the old while bringing in the new, because you're going through time in this game.
Yeah, and you want to know when I really flipped out and had a fangirl moment was the final boss, the Robotnik of Chemical Plant.
The Mean Bean, yes.
The Mean Bean Machine, because I was a Mean Machine fanatic. And the way they did it, or like Sonic just kind of drops into the little console, and you see him just like moving the little things around, and Robotnik's on the other side, or Eggman.
Robotnik, I don't care. That
he's Robotnik to me. I can't. But the fact that you see the two of them side by side, and you're sitting there doing the Bean Machine against him, I said, I can't. This is perfection. This is exactly what I want.
I'm sorry. I prefer Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine when it was called Puyo Puyo. I'm sorry. I'm trolling. I'm trolling.
I can't. All right. You want to adjust your glasses? I'll adjust my glasses too. We'll have that. I also played the same game when it was, there was a Kirby version of it as well. Adjust.
I played that game and it was called Dr. Mario.
No, yeah, fun fact. I forget the name of it, but there is the same exact game was released both on Sega and on Nintendo. And the Sega one was Mean Bean Machine, and the Nintendo one was, I forget what it was called, but it was Kirby something. But it's literally the exact same game, just with different characters in it.
And no, so that was your
released as Kirby's Avalanche.
Kirby's Avalanche, thank you.
So that was your screaming moment. Mine was actually the first, the end level boss of Green Hill, Act 2, which was the big hulking Robotnik Death Egg from Sonic 2. I'm like, holy fuck, that's the first boss?
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, fine, okay. Those spikes at the end of his arm, fine. Oh, the level's moving, fuck. And oh shit, those arms extend?
Yep. Plus the fact that he throws out the little bombs that look like himself.
The little mini Robotniks, yes.
The little mini Robotnik bombs, yep.
Yes. So, like, all of these levels that they bring back, the remastered levels, because this game has 13 zones. And, you know, just playing through the old remastered zones, just childhood all over the place. Especially, I was so glad to see that what my music-wise, my favorite level music in all of the Sonic games is Flying Battery Zone, and when I saw that in here in Sonic Mania, I've died and gone to heaven.
You just fell on the floor. Yeah.
I'm a puddle of childhood on the floor here, and even the zones that were made for this game, the specific zones, like Studiopolis, where it looks like you're on.
Studiopolis was fun,
and the Mirage Saloon, and just they did not feel out of place to me in this type of a game.
Oh no, they had that heightened reality feel that all the games, like Studiopolis, felt exactly like playing Casino Night.
Yes.
To me, at least, because it brought in all of the kitsch of whatever the theme of that level was, from the fact that you end up in the popcorn machine to, like, there's little camera robots flying around taking photos of you, to the fact that the final Robotnik boss in that one was a weather channel and with weather effects.
Yep.
I mean, it was genius. Like, they just took all this kitschy pieces of TV and studio culture, and they're like, well, yeah, we're gonna make a level out of this, and it was brilliant.
The nice other little Easter eggs that, you know, were just added extra icing. Anytime you passed the checkpoint and you hit the spinning stars, you were taken to the Get Blue Spheres levels, and there are dozens of them in this game.
There are so many. And there was that. There was there's also the one where you chase the alien that I cannot beat for the life of me. I think there was another one too. Maybe
the one where you chase the alien. Those are the Chaos Emerald boards.
Yeah, those are the Chaos Emerald ones.
And I think that is right from, I think it's one of the Saturn Sonic games.
I think it is. Yeah, that's a deep cut right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
like. Those are challenging, and then of course you get all the the different unlockables for the Blue Spheres boards, because and again they lull me into a false sense of security, because the first like 2 or 3 of those Blue Spheres levels are exact from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. They're exact. So I remembered. I'm like, yep, here come. I hadn't used this muscle memory in a long time. And it's like, when I play these, when I get to one of those levels, I don't use the joystick anymore. I go right to the D-pad. I'm like, all right, yep, here we go. Let's see if I remember how to do this. So the first 3 of them, I'm just like, okay, got it, good. And then we start getting into new levels. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, there's 130 Blue Spheres, but I don't know my way around this level. Help.
And there's like, no idea where I'm going.
There's like 24 of these in this game. Help. But, so when this game came out 3 years ago, I was so happy. And it's just been part of this upswing, I feel, that Sonic, as you've mentioned, Ronny, this upswing that Sonic has been on for the last decade, since Generations, has just sort of been, building back up to Sonic being, a good fun time again, instead of,
which culminated in one of the only good video game movies.
So much fun. I'm not going to spoil it because you guys haven't seen it yet. I know we've gone almost an hour in this first half already.
Ready to take a break?
I think I am ready to take a break because there's definitely a number of other Sonic games to chat about. I mean, I could keep going for another hour on Sonic Mania, but we won't.
I think we all could, but yeah.
So we'll continue yakking and. Yeah, so while we take a break, you'll have some music, as is our custom. I'll pop on some Sonic Mania, and we'll go from there. So you're listening.
We'll continue this as part of our previous one. During the break, we tell all of our listeners, go pick up Sonic Mania, play it, and then when we come back, let us know what you thought of it.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll be watching. Spencer is probably still watching to see if all of you are playing Link Between Worlds. I will be watching to see if you are all playing Sonic Mania. So, there you go. All right. You're listening to our Sonic 30 retrospective here on Downloadable Content with Ronny and Shanna. We'll be back. Second half of our Sonic 30 retrospective. We're all still here. Hopefully you played Sonic Mania. I've got a note. I've got lists. I will know.
I actually did for a little bit over that break.
Here you are. You get a cookie or you get a ring.
Yes, I get a ring.
You get a ring.
That'll keep me alive forever as long as I can hold on to it.
As long as you hold on to it. So I went all fan squee on Sonic Mania, and that's fine. I will.
God damn it! God damn it.
What?
Now I have just somebody just who's in a hospital dying, and it's so sad, and all their family's there, and then it does a close-up on their wedding ring as they stop breathing, and the ring just disappears, and they sit up, and they get up, and just start walking around. Yeah, I'm fine. I still have the ring.
Oh my god. What drama just took place in your mind?
He's a writer. These things happen.
I just imagined a scene out of Futurama from All My Circuits just in the middle of your brain palace right now, Ronny. Just Calculon going, and oh no!
So
okay, onward!
Onward we go! So, I mean, there were other Sonic games that came out in the last decade. We touched on Generations in the first half. I'm gonna have to play it now. I mean, I own it. I
also play Sonic Colors. That was also very good.
I heard Sonic Colors was very good. We had other games that came out. There was a game based off of, what was it, a comic or a TV show? The Sonic Boom games. There were 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about those.
I mean, it was 2014. It was several centuries ago. So, you had Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric, and Shattered Crystal. I think one was on one platform, and the other was on another platform. I think one was a handheld, one was for the Wii U. I think it's how it worked. I'll have to look at Lord Wikipedia. But
the one thing I remember about those was, those are the ones with the character designs, aren't they? Like, is that the one where they decided that Sonic was going to wear a scarf, and they made they made Knuckles beefy and
Yes, they did. They made like, Knuckles, how much HGH did you
Knuckles started juicing for this game. It was quite the scandal.
Yeah.
Here's something I think might have been brought up because it happened once before the last podcast, but the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games became a thing in the last decade.
Yes, they did.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, they did.
Which, that was a rather big deal. Just because, again, that played on the rivalry of our childhood, and it was kind of nice to see that, Nintendo released that it almost felt like some good faith. That's like,
oh yeah,
Nintendo won the battle, but you know what? Here.
And from what I have not played them because I don't play sports games, but I've heard that they are actually excellent.
I've played them a bit. They are really super fun.
Yeah.
In the same way that playing something like Mario Party or something, it's a good party game. It's really good for that. But
Shanna, I don't have friends.
I'm your friend. Sniffle, sniffle, sniffle.
Yeah, you're also in another state. I have a lot of friends that are in other states.
I also happen to be miles away. I think we've met in person twice.
Was it twice? I feel like it's been at least 3 times, but it could be twice.
Something like that.
But time has no meaning.
You're a good friend, even if I only see you once every couple decades.
Aw, same here. Anyways, Sonic Boom, which I heard those Sonic Boom games, I heard they didn't get such great reviews, but I never played those.
The which ones?
The Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric.
Oh yeah, no. The one of them was okay, one of them was bad. There were 2 of them. I don't remember which one it was. One of them was actually a decent game, and then one of them was bugged to all crap. One of them was like almost Sonic 2006 levels of bugged.
The one that was heavily bugged, I remember, was Rise of Lyric.
Okay.
And that was the one on that was the Wii U one. Shattered Crystal was the Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal was 3DS. So yeah, those games were made. Those were spin-offs of another animated TV series.
See, what I'm waiting for, and we can talk about, because I intend to talk about the animated series quite a bit in a little bit, so we can get to that. But yes, they were spin-off of the Sonic Boom TV series, which the TV series was actually good, despite the games. So one thing that came out in that decade was Sonic Team Racing, which was a decent Mario Kart clone.
That's right.
And
I forgot about that one too.
yeah, I mean, Sonic's had a lot of actually decent racing games. I'm waiting for Mario Kart to be more like Smash and bring Sonic in.
You know,
Do you know how fun that would be?
that would be a lot of fun, and I'm willing to think that, with Sega not making consoles, and then they haven't been for a long time now, and we've seen Sonic on Nintendo consoles. That sounds like it could be an interesting proposition.
I mean, there were talks a while ago when Sega was thinking of getting sold that Nintendo was going to buy Sega.
I mean,
And that ended up, and I was going to say, and that ended up not occurring at the time, but like they are still set up to become, if not first party, at least a second party publisher. Because they are definitely Nintendo focused.
Yes. Like, for a while there were a few games. Sega had entered into an agreement with Nintendo for a little while. Sonic was a Nintendo exclusive, which again, well done Nintendo, you won the console war. So you had the two Sonic Boom games, and then in part of that exclusivity agreement, you had Sonic Lost World as well. But I could certainly see, Sonic or Sonic characters getting into Mario Kart. I mean, we've known forever. I mean, Mario Kart forever has always even included other Nintendo IPs in it, like Donkey Kong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, Donkey Kong, was there another Mario Kart character from a different... Link. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we could.
Mario Kart has always had the expanded Nintendo roster, but they have not, as of yet, gone the Smash route of bringing in third-party publishers yet.
That could be interesting. I can see that.
I mean, wouldn't you want to see Shovel Knight in a nice little car?
Well,
Make it like what was it? Double Dash, where you have two people, so it's Shovel Knight and Shield Knight sharing a car.
Let's bring on the OTP here.
Oh, come on! I'm sorry. I know this is about Sonic, but come on, we announce it. We need a Shovel Knight 2. Announce Shovel Knight 2 and give me Hollow Knight Silk Song, and I'll be happy.
I
can't wait for Silk Song.
Same. I know.
It's so hard.
Patience, Augustus. Patience.
Oh, I don't have it anymore. This year has been decades long.
Just this week alone has been.
I feel like I've been waiting longer for Hollow Knight Silk Song than we waited for Final Fantasy 15.
Wow.
That's how long this year's felt.
Wow. Yeah, I think, what is today? March 264th?
Something like that,
yeah. I totally see
Well,
that.
just be April already.
Really? And we'll look outside in a month or so and be like, wow, we're getting a blizzard in April. This is weird.
Time has no meaning in 2020.
No, it's gone. It's totally... Like... we'll watch the ball drop on New Year's Eve, and I'll be like,
here's your sense of time, and it's gone.
And there you go. It's gone. It's over. It's done.
Pack it up. We're all done.
We actually had a couple of Sonic racing games in the last decade. We had Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. That was November 2012. And then Team Sonic Racing, May of 2019. So we've had a couple. I have not played a single Sonic racing game.
I believe the All-Stars was a enhanced port of an older Sonic racing game.
Like, I've never played any of the Sonic racing games, and just because Mario Kart overshadows
Well, what I was going to say is, you've played all of them. You've played Mario Kart.
Nicely done.
I'm not even being mean. Like, they are reskinned. They are Sega's Mario Kart. They are just a reskinned Mario Kart. I'm not saying that to be a bad thing. Being Mario Kart can be great. Diddy Kong Racing was wonderful.
Oh, I do have fond memories of that game.
So do I. Diddy Kong Racing was the best Mario Kart until Mario Kart 8.
But no, I have not played a Sonic racing game, and maybe I should. Maybe I should.
You should, but you should also look into reviews, because there are some that are excellent and then some that are not as good.
Yeah.
But
when
have
I ever paid any attention to reviews anyway?
You're gonna be in for a bad time. You're gonna be in for a bad tem. You're gonna be in for a bad tem.
Yeah, thank you, Sans. All right. Anyway, as you were gonna say.
At least you got my reference. So I was going to say, I think it's time, unless somebody else has something else to bring up, to talk about Sonic and other media. Because who knew that Sonic had cartoons?
Sonic's also had long-running comics.
Yep.
Yes, it did.
That's a...
And I'm going to be touching on that, too.
Yeah, that's a medium unto itself, is the
Sonic Archie comics, yeah.
Is the Sonic Archie comics and how long that's been going. I mean, I've never actually read them, but I know that there are people who, like, swear by them. And...
I'm not somebody, like... Okay, so here's my thing for the Archie comics. I own and have read some of them. Enough to know I enjoy them and to have fun with them. Mm-hmm. Then, every, like, once or twice a year, I will go in and read their wiki and see all the weird shit that's happened. So I'm reasonably educated on them.
Which is more than I can say for myself. I have not read a single one.
But let's get into those after we do the animated stuff, because I think that's going to be more familiar to a lot of the people who are listening. And maybe it's more familiar to you guys. I don't know if any of you watched either of the two from the 90s.
Oh, I did.
I watched the crap out of those.
Yes, I did.
Both of them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I particularly gravitated towards the one where they were freedom fighters.
Yep. That one is just called Sonic the Hedgehog, but in the fan base, it is called the Sat AM.
Yeah, that's the Sat AM one. Yeah.
Yep. And then the other one is The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is the full title.
Which, I remember The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I watched it, but it felt like the same as watching like a Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry cartoon, because they were essentially the same thing.
That's why notice, I love the Sat AM. I way prefer the Sat AM. Mm-hmm. But I grew up on Looney Tunes, so seeing Sonic, but it's Looney Tunes, that was funny to me. That was entertaining.
Same. I mean, I still remember the theme song for the Saturday afternoon one.
Oh yeah.
You know, fastest thing alive.
Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep.
Too fast for the naked eye. Sonic the Hedgehog. Yep. I can't sing.
Yep, Ronny.
I can't.
Ronny, your Grammy will be coming to you in the mail.
I have no sense of pitch. I can't hold any. Don't.
I'd like to thank the Academy. But
on the other hand, I can sing the majority of Cruel Angel's Thesis.
Wrong podcast.
But yeah, the Sat AM, with its much darker story, with its ongoing narrative, actually showing Robotnik as a real threat, not a joke. People dying, like that thing really got heavy. Like
it did. It was, I mean, we had some shows that kind of took that tone as far as children's cartoons at the time, where you had, the team of good guys versus the bad guys, and there are actually stakes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like it kind of kind of led off of in the 80s the Transformers cartoon and the death of Optimus.
Kind of, yeah. I get that. I got a little bit of I always felt like I got a little bit of X-Men out of that show too.
Oh yeah.
You know, that same sort of thing where
I'm still amazed that they were able to do the X-Men, that series in the 90s. Like, I don't know how they were allowed to do half of that crap.
I don't know. But,
that was so wonderful, and I forever have crushes on Jubilee and Storm just because of that series.
You know, funny, speaking of X-Men, my favorite character in Sat AM was the character who was quite literally Rogue, but in a cyborg rabbit's body.
Yes! Yeah, I remember her.
She was definitely my favorite. But yeah, I just remember that show really had and, you know, maybe it was also kind of a sign of the times, because it was about, you know, they were freedom fighters, and obviously with Sonic, they're trying to, you know, save their little animal friends and whatnot, and we definitely had a thing of pushing an environmentalist agenda on kids back then, which was actually a really good thing. I don't have anything against that, because now you have a whole bunch of us who really care about climate change in our adult years. But that show...
Why do the kids care about climate change? Well, we did show them Sonic AM, and we raised them on Captain Planet.
Yeah, y'all raised us on Captain Planet and Fern Gully and Recycle, Reduce, Reuse. What do you expect's going to happen?
It's like they forgot what they taught us when they got old and decided money was more important.
Exactly, but yeah, and it was, you know, it was surprising that the show, you had these two completely disparate shows, because having shows based off the video games, the games kind of, it could cater to either one of those shows, so it makes sense that both of those shows were so successful. Because
when has there ever been two shows that are two different versions of the same IP viewing at the exact same time?
At the exact same time.
Like, that's never happened that I can think of.
No, absolutely not. But it's interesting because it catered to two different audiences. I mean, if you just wanted to put on TV junk food for your kids, there's The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. But if your kids wanted something a little bit richer and deeper, like if you're one of those ones who was looking for a story that really moved you...
Which was me.
Yeah, who would have expected that basically a spin-off of a video game, which back then was... Those shows were really just made to sell more video games. Who would have known?
I was 10 at the time, and holy crap, did I totally dig into that, and all the story and the feel, the vibe, the aesthetic. Like, I ate that crap up.
Mm-hmm.
But those two weren't the only Sonic cartoons. We have 3 others to talk about.
We do, but before you dive into those, like, I don't remember a thing about the Looney Tunes Sonic, the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
You don't remember Grounder and crap? What was his name?
I barely remember anything about them, but even though I have not seen the Saturday morning Sonic the Hedgehog since I was 8. I still...
Scratch and Grounder. There we go.
I still remember the Uncle Chuck episode of the Saturday AM where Sonic is trying to restore Uncle Chuck's free will.
Yep.
I still remember that episode 27 or so years later.
Yeah.
Yep. It sticks with you.
It really does.
I do. I remember that.
Because you want to know what? Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is fun, goofy, slapstick humor. Sonic the Hedgehog Sat AM, that really speaks on a younger person, on a I don't want to say child's level, because a lot of people watch this who are older as well, but to a younger person, it's really speaking about human shit. It's talking about real things. It's talking about tragedy. It's talking about losing people. It's talking about having faith and not giving up on that faith even when it's hard. It's talking about the pain. It's taking these concepts and it's distilling them down into ways that younger people can relate to easier.
And not only that, but just the idea of fighting injustice.
Yes,
that's a pretty powerful message to convey to kids, which is where it was directed. That's where the show was directed at the time.
I was gonna say we got stuff like that, and then the next generation, the Zoomers, got raised on dystopias where they need to overthrow the corrupt government, and you wonder why our two generations are the way they are.
Yep, absolutely. So it's like whenever like the first time I ever got to the Metal Sonic boss fight in Sonic 2 in the Death Egg Zone, like everyone refers to him as Metal Sonic. I go, no, that's Uncle Chuck.
No. Oh, that's. I never made that connection. That would have messed me up. I would have been like, I'm putting the game down for a while.
Yeah, I'm like that. It's like, and they'd be like, what do you mean that's Uncle Chuck? And I'm like, oh, child. But yes. Anyway, they wanted to get a more animated series. Go ahead, Ronny.
Well, there are 3 other animated series: Sonic Underground, Sonic X, and Sonic Boom. Do either of you two have any experience in those 3?
No, I don't.
No. Nope, I don't either.
Okay. Well, then I'll be very general, but I did see some of Sonic Underground. I've seen all of Sonic X, and I've seen bits and pieces of Sonic Boom. But I can at least give a decent rundown in that Sonic hasn't really had bad cartoons. Like, the worst is The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, because unless you're a Looney Tunes fan, that may not be to your taste. But pretty much all of them are pretty quality. Sonic Underground is the most different because it doesn't even try to, like, it's completely rebooting the continuity. It doesn't bring back any characters. The only things that are in that it has is you got Sonic, you got Robotnik, and you got Knuckles. Those are the 3 things. Like, the main crew in Sonic Underground are Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonia the Hedgehog, Manic the Hedgehog, Robotnik, Sleet, who is a robot dog that's on Robotnik's side, and Dingo, who is also a robot dog.
And I'm looking at Sonic Underground now on Lord Wikipedia. I should watch it because Jaleel White reprised his role.
Yes, he did. And it's like I said, it's if you're looking for what you know Sonic to be, it may not be for you because it is definitely its own thing. But the thing that it is still good. Like, it's still good. They were just trying to go in a different direction. Sonia and Manic are his brother and sister, by the way. They were part of the royal family of Mobius before Robotnik took it over. And they're trying to restore it. But yeah, so that's Sonic Underground. I won't go too much into it since nobody else has seen it.
That does bring up a good point, though, that I've... one thing I realized with Sonic that is kind of interesting is that, and this kind of goes back into also a lot of games that we didn't really talk about, like, there was one where he was like an honest-to-God werewolf and stuff like that.
Yeah. Rise the Lycan.
Yeah. Sonic has a very expanded universe over the years, which has worked in its favor in some respects and not worked in its favor in other respects. Like, I remember a long time ago, I guess maybe this was when I had dreams of being a critic or a writer. On like a blog that I had, a little personal blog, I wrote up a whole thing about how I felt about Sonic, and this was obviously before Mania and all that, and I was like, oh my god, I miss my Sonic games, and now the games are all weird, and I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. But one note I made was that, unlike Mario, where you kind of have for the most part, like, they'll introduce new characters here and there, but for the most part, you always have the same stable of characters. I always felt like Sonic would introduce too many characters at one time in each game. And the fact that you just mentioned this whole cast and I forget which series you were mentioning, but the robot dog and this and that. I'm like,
yep,
those
Sonic
are characters
Underground.
that are completely different than the cast of characters that were in the Sat AM show. Which, side note, a lot of those characters also make little cameos in Spinball.
Yep.
But then those two sets.
And by the way, those Sat AM characters will also turn up in the comic we'll be talking about later.
Yeah, but like those two sets of characters are also completely different than ones I've seen in like Sonic Adventure and there's one with the cat and all that. I'm like, there's a lot of characters in Sonic overall that don't all intertwine.
If we're talking about the games, there's only really two different continuities. Because the 2D games, basically everything from the 90s, is one continuity. And then starting with Sonic Adventure, all of the 3D games are their own continuity.
Okay, alright.
And while I can point out places they contradict each other, they are supposed to be in continuity. The only exception to that is the Sonic Boom games, which takes place in the same universe as Sonic Boom.
Okay, that makes sense. But it's in a way, I guess it's. But
if you take a look at all of the media, every media is its own continuity.
It really is, because, for example, I haven't read the comic books or watched the other TV shows, but Amy Rose doesn't appear in any of those, does she?
Amy Rose. Did she show up at the very end? I thought she showed up at the very end of the Sat AM show.
Maybe.
In that special with Knuckles.
Maybe I don't remember.
But Amy Rose is one of the characters who shows up in the most other series other than Sonic. Outside of Sonic, Tails, and Robotnik, she shows up in the most Sonic media.
Or I would think Knuckles, too.
Nope. She shows up more than Knuckles does.
Oh, interesting.
Partially because she predates Knuckles.
Okay.
Her game actually came out before Sonic and Knuckles did.
I guess my question, though, is if that... I wonder if that was a detriment to the series because you don't have as many characters to grasp onto. I mean, yes, you have your mains. You have Sonic, Tails, Robotnik.
Here's the thing. I think it hurt and helped. I think it hurt in that, yes, it's hard to get really invested in a character when you don't see them regularly.
Exactly.
On the other side, having all of these different animal characters turns Sonic into what it is now on the internet, where everyone has their own Sonic OC, and it's one of the biggest fandoms on the internet, way bigger than it has any right to be, based on the popularity of its media.
That's very true.
Would furries exist to the extent they do right now if we didn't have all these Sonic characters? I'm not so sure. I mean, it's a joke, but it's not. That is an honest question.
I have heard there are a lot of people out there who crush on Princess Sally, so...
Absolutely. I crush on Amy Rose. There's nothing to be ashamed of. They're cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when you're looking at the different Sonic, all the different Sonic media, you have a bunch of different, because every cartoon is its own continuity. Sonic X is kind of them trying to do Sonic Adventure animated. It has a lot of the same characters, a lot of the same feel, but it's not that same story. It's its own story. But that's the closest it gets to trying to be one of the games.
Which I guess is also to its credit, because Sonic has become bigger than a video game now. It's now a whole universe. And we live in an age where a lot of franchises dip their toe in that pool and try to go across the board. I mean,
And hey, if you think there's a lot of Sonic characters now, just take a look at any wiki for the comics. Every character you've ever heard of has made an appearance in that comics, and they have created hundreds of original characters. The number of characters in that Sonic comic is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I suppose if you make a fictional world, you may as well populate it with every single person as a named character.
Well, I guess that's true.
Crap, I don't even know where we're going at this point.
You went right off the rails into cartoons and furries and
we were talking about the cartoons, and we were just getting to Sonic X. We just finished talking about Underground,
you
right?
went to Underground, and again you dove right off into furries, and I'm just like, okay, all right, well, this is unexpected. All right, but we'll go.
If I dive into furries, at least soft, it'll catch my landing.
Yes, that is true. Like, moving on.
Yes. So, they did Sonic X. Sonic X is one that I've actually watched from beginning to end. It has aesthetically, it's Sonic Adventure. Character-wise, it's mostly Sonic Adventure. It's basically them taking Sonic Adventure and trying to make a animated series about it.
Okay.
It is excellent. It's probably the best one to come since Sat AM. And it has Amy Rose in it, so I have no complaints. It did pretty well, from what I understand, with people watching it.
I heard it got pretty popular.
Yeah, it was pretty popular. And then
Okay.
And then finally, we have Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom is best known for spinning off into the video games that were terrible.
So there.
Sonic Boom also had a comic series as well as an anime. From what I understand, the cartoon was pretty good. It wasn't as good as Sonic X or Sat AM, but it was good. It was fun. It wasn't super memorable. Like, most people know it because that's where the new Sonic designs came in. Where
that was really all I knew about it.
Yeah, where Knuckles looks like a linebacker, and Sonic's got a scarf, and Amy's got the half-lid sexy eyes, and for some reason, Tails is Luca from Chrono Trigger.
I mean, they did take that turn with Tails, I think, over several games. I mean, because he was the pilot.
Oh yeah.
Because that's one thing I do remember about Sonic Adventure is every Tails level was riding around in a mech suit.
Yep.
You didn't really actually play as Tails so much as you guided him in whatever vehicle he was in.
Yes, you are absolutely right. But yeah. Other than that, like I said, I don't believe Boom did super well. Like I said, it was good, but it's mostly memorable for its bad games.
Right.
And that's it for the cartoons. I need to give my voice a rest for a second. So, do you guys have anything you want to talk about before I go into the comics?
One thing I'll bring up, just going back into the games, which is an interesting thing I think we've noticed just over the course of our conversation, is that Sonic games tend to be very divisive. Either people love them or hate them. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I don't feel like there's many Sonic games that come out and you're like, it's pretty good, or it's lukewarm. It's either it's terrible, it's awful, it sucks, it's buggy, or this is fantastic and this is exactly what I've been wanting out of a Sonic game.
I I can.
I don't know. Do you guys feel the same way?
I can agree to that. That seems pretty accurate. I mean, especially during the run of games prior to this decade.
Yeah.
Where it was just really just one game would be an overwhelming success, and other would just be a profound swing and a miss.
I mean, and let's be real. I mean, Sonic took some creative risks over the years with just the ideas behind some of their titles. I mean, you had Shadow the Hedgehog, which was kind of capitalizing on bang bang shoot games.
Dark, dark edgy Sonic.
Dark edgy Sonic, dark angry teenager Sonic kind of thing. You had
lots of teenage angst energy.
Yeah, that one was the one where it's like, oh, this isn't your mama Sonic the Hedgehog. I feel like that's where they were trying to go with that, and it kind of backfired. It's really backfired. But you also had things, like I said, like the one where Sonic is a honest-to-God werewolf.
Yep.
There was the one where he's got kind of the cringy relationship with a human princess.
2006.
That was 2006, right? Yeah.
Yep, that was the glitchiest hot mess of hot messes.
Yeah, and even that one was weird for many reasons. For one thing, the glitchiness, but also the storyline just seemed overblown, and like it just kind of felt like they were trying
Here's the thing, like I know other people are like, I don't play Sonic for the story, and I'm like, I like story. I think any game can be improved by having a decent story behind it.
Oh, I totally agree, but I think it's
decent
also,
story.
It's got to be a decent story, and I think it's also a matter of it felt like trying to fit Sonic into those stories was almost like square peg round hole kind of thing, where Sonic's, in a sense, like I mean, there's a storyline in that game. It's beating Dr. Robotnik and saving all your little animal friends. And they could take that into modern times and they can embellish that and it would have worked. And I think it worked in certain respects, like the ideas of the cartoons that we just discussed, where they took a very simplistic idea and broadened it out into this freedom fighters thing. Again, I haven't played the 06 game, but even just seeing it from afar and what it looked like, and the fact that, like I said, it legitimately looked like a Final Fantasy game to me, but with Sonic running around in it, it just felt very off. It felt like, well, this isn't why I come to Sonic. Even if it could have the greatest storyline ever, but it didn't feel like Sonic belonged in that game, if that makes sense, and maybe that's why it turned people off. I don't know, I find it very interesting to kind of look over the history
Also,
of the
it wasn't a
games
good story.
It wasn't a good story, no.
Like, it just wasn't a good story. Like, even before we get into anything else, it just wasn't a good story.
Yeah, okay, then I'll definitely take your word for it, because that's one that will not be making it into my gaming bucket list. But that being said,
not.
Now we're talking about the upswing in the last decade, and we're kind of seeing that Sonic games are going back in many respects to their roots a little bit, especially with Sonic Mania. But the story's still there, but it's also, it doesn't feel like they're trying to fit Sonic into a place where he doesn't make sense. Does that make sense?
that makes total sense. I mean, that goes back to the point I made, at the beginning of this. Like, I said that Sonic has been through the ringer, where I said that Sonic has been less successful when Sega's gotten experimental with him, as opposed to Nintendo with Mario. And you're just illustrating that point exactly.
Yeah, and I also think it's because with Mario, the base of what Mario is was never really pulled out of those games. Like, for example, I'm playing Super Mario RPG right now, and it's a completely different game than playing Super Mario or one of the original games, Super Mario World, whatever. But it also feels like it completely makes sense. It doesn't feel like they took Mario and put him in, like, I don't know, like a dark steampunk apocalypse. That, cough, cough, that was the movie. But it still feels like a Mario game. It still has the lightheartedness, the cheer, cute little toad people and whatnot. So in that respect, that experiment worked, as it's worked in other things like putting Mario in a go-kart and whatever. I think that's where Sega missed the mark with Sonic, because they got experimental, but they tried a little hard, I guess, with their
Here's the thing. My opinion on this is, okay, the traditional 2D old school Sonic formula doesn't resonate with younger gamers. It's overly hard, it requires a lot of memorization. They've tried it, it doesn't work. Or it hasn't worked. So, they keep trying to reinvent Sonic to make him relevant. Their best thing was Sonic Adventure, so everything afterwards was trying to do what Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 did. Failing at it. Now, they've had a lot of success now with Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, and Sonic Mania. But most of that attach rate are the old fans looking for nostalgia and looking for a new one, not the younger fans. So there's a big worry that Sonic is going to eventually die out with our generation if something doesn't happen. Now, something happening could be our generation raising our children on Sonic and learning to appreciate it, but that hasn't happened so far. So, that's the big thing here, is how to keep Sonic relevant. And they've found a couple different things. Their collaborations with Nintendo are getting Sonic back into the eyes of people. The Mario and Sonic at the Olympic games, Sonic in Smash. These are putting Sonic back in the face of gamers who maybe had never played a Sonic game before. And like with Fire Emblem, maybe it'll get them to go in and play them.
It's interesting you bring that up, and I mean, this is a conversation probably for a whole different, for a whole different setting. But I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's because gamers who are coming of age now, younger gamers, experience gaming completely differently than, I guess you'd say, our generation of gamers. I guess you can kind of say we're the older generation, we're the old guard, but
we put up with a lot of bullshit that we probably shouldn't have because that's what we thought gaming was.
True.
Because a lot of game design back in the 80s and 90s was based off ultra-hard arcade games because the point was to eat your quarters.
Yeah, the point was to keep pumping in quarters.
So we talk about Nintendo hard games and stuff, but I'd like to make a clear distinction because hard games are popular right now. Dark Souls is one of the most popular series to date. Hollow Knight is incredibly difficult and incredibly satisfying, but the difference is those games are fair and hard. You never feel cheated. You feel like when you fucked up. It was your fault. Mm-hmm. For old games, that wasn't necessarily true, and honestly, for a lot of Sonic games, that doesn't actually feel true, even the old ones. And that's the kind of thing, because the current generation, I feel like, doesn't have the patience for bullshit difficulty. They will play a hard game, but it needs to be a game that's fair.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I just think even their reward systems in games are different. I mean, gaming is just much more social now these days, and sometimes it's more about just getting on and, playing whatever with all your friends. But, there's also, the achievements and all of that, whereas a game like Sonic was based on A, beating it, and B, getting a high score. And how do you translate to very old world, very... that's a certain era in gaming.
I mean, I'll agree with that.
How do you translate that, I guess?
I'll agree with that, but I'll say that the original Mario games still to this day remain popular with the younger generation in a way Sonic doesn't. And they are very much the same thing of, like, it's beating the game and getting a high score. That's all there really is.
Granted, I think we brought this up once before, but Sonic is also dated in a way that Mario's not, because Mario's timeless.
Yeah, and Mario
Mario
has a lot more societal cachet at this point, where like you grow up knowing who Mario is.
Exactly. Whereas Sonic was strategically created to be the antithesis of Mario, and he is literally imbued with 90s rebellion culture. You know, from the finger wagging and the eyebrows and all of that.
Which shows, because when they created another character to do the antithesis of Mario in Crash Bandicoot, you basically have Sonic the Hedgehog, but slightly worse.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, it's the same energy.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to create the opposite of Mario, that's what you make.
That's what you make. That's exactly what you make. And I also think that's another reason why Mario endured and Sonic didn't, was because Sonic is very of its time. He's very of the 90s.
It doesn't help that...
It was all about attitude.
It doesn't help that he had 15 years of terrible games. So 15 years is a freaking generation. Like, there's a whole generation that only grew up with Sonic being that trash fire that people laugh about in Let's Plays.
Uh-huh. That's true.
Like, they may not have played Sonic and Knuckles, but you're damn sure well that their favorite Let's Player played Sonic 06, and they got to laugh as the character just kind of skips into the sky and just starts flying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the
trapped in a wall.
AVGN. They've all picked that clean. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. So I have hope for Sonic. The Sonic movie did quite well. Who knows? Maybe it'll win an Oscar. There's nothing else that can. That and Trolls World Tour.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Sonic movie, which so good. God, it became the 5th highest grossing movie of this year, and it is the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm actually surprised that it beat out Resident Evil.
It made over $308 million.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, I believe it. I'm just saying, I'm kind of surprised because the Resident Evil movies were big. They weren't good, but they were big.
And to its credit, you have to remember, the Sonic movie came, like, when it was first presented, it was a trash fire. I mean, people
human teeth.
lost their minds when they saw
you guys have all created your human teeth OCs, right? We're going to show them at the end of the show.
Yeah, oh my god. The human teeth, like, I mean, we thought that was going to crash and burn.
It wasn't Sonic. It wasn't Sonic.
It was ugly. I don't know what it was.
Although, here's the thing.
It was called the first draft.
To their credit, they took the complaints. They took that punch to the jaw, and they went back and goddamn fixed it and spent the money. And you want to know what? I know with how much money they did, they must have made a profit, but I can't imagine they made that much of a profit because all of that CG they had to redo for the entire movie, that had to cost them a lot.
I will tell you the numbers. I've got them right here. So their budget for this movie was between 81 and 95 million.
Mm-hmm.
They made 308.4 at the box office.
Okay. Well, the question I had was, how much did they spend on redoing Sonic? Like, that was my main thing that I was bringing up.
That I don't know. That I do not know how much of
they had to be willing to sacrifice a lot of profit to do that.
I mean, they tripled what they spent. So
still worth it.
It did so well that they are making a sequel.
Oh yeah. Well,
we are getting a sequel and possibly more.
I mean, we not spoiling it for Shanna, but they did do a teaser at the end of the movie, so people knew there was going to be a sequel.
I had a feeling. I mean, like, I was already thinking to myself, I'm like...
They teased characters.
I'm like, I'm sure there's going to be... Whatever character I don't see in this movie, they're going to be in a stinger. I mean, I know how this goes.
Yep.
You've been with the Marvel movies, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I know what's going on. I'm just
oh my God,
I'm waiting to see who it's going to be.
I know it's not Sonic, but I have to say this. I saw for the first time since it came out the final scene at the end of Endgame where they do the Avengers Assemble with everybody in the Marvel Universe coming to fight Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the swing states against Trump.
Oh, I've seen that going around too.
And I watched it. And first of all, hilarious because of what it was. But that scene, even out of context, still hits so damn hard.
And I've seen that, and the only question
I'm tearing up over a stupid meme.
Congratulations.
Because what the meme is based on is good.
The only question I had, because I saw that same thing, the only question I had was, what the hell is Elon Musk doing in there? What the fuck was he doing in that? But, again, riveting entertainment that you only get here on downloadable content, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone into
not for that much longer.
We went into furries, and now we're talking, political shit posting memes. It's great. It's absolutely wonderful. But yeah, the movie, I mean, you guys haven't seen it. I have. I was so happy. I was so happy. And I'm so excited that there's going to be a sequel. As I said, Jim Carrey, just
perfection.
And, and I remember when the movie came out, a lot of people were saying on Facebook, were like, okay, guys, you ripped the studio a new one for the original look of Sonic. Go thank them. And it appears that they did.
Yeah.
Go see the movie. You demanded they fix it, and they did. When somebody, when we say, when we go, if you want to make a statement, you have to make it with money. You have to withhold money. But part of that is also, when a company does something great, you give them money. You give them money for their products. They keep making more.
Yeah, you show your appreciation.
And I
exactly.
Did. And I did.
I mean,
if Square makes a new Chrono game, I'm not just going to buy it for myself.
You're buying.
I'm going to buy it for myself. I'm going to buy it for my wife. I'm going to buy it for my friends. Everybody's getting it for Christmas. Half of the sales are going to come from my household because I want them to know you did it. You finally did it.
Damn you all to hell.
Thank you.
So, the sequel for the Sonic movie is not scheduled for an April 2022 release, because this movie hit theaters in the United States on Valentine's Day, and right after that, COVID hit, because I was going to go see it again. I was going to go see it a second time, because the first time I saw it, the theater was virtually empty, and I love that. And because I went in the middle of the week, and I'm like, oh, but now Plague. But yeah.
We actually bought the movie. We just haven't watched it yet, but we knew we were gonna want it. So
yeah. That's. I think I am good. I'm hoping Sonic continues, and I mean, obviously it's going to continue, but we'll see what the next decade for Sonic has in store, and.
Well, we won't be doing that, but all of you out there,
yes,
you do it for us.
You do it for us, and I know I will be.
Truth.
I will be in 2021 at some point, streaming on Twitch. At shameless plug here, twitch.tv/eroivus. I'll be doing a playthrough of probably the Genesis games and Sonic Mania.
If you're angry the podcast is ending, please go on to Brian's streams and troll him.
I mean, it's not going to change my opinion one way or the other.
I didn't say it was. I'm just saying if you're angry, go and do that.
All right, fine.
I will say, no, it's It's a really good thing if you miss the podcast. It's really fun to watch video games with Brian commentary. I highly enjoy it.
I am glad. I am glad you enjoy my MST3K style riffing of the game and my occasional angry frustration when I die for the umpteenth time in a particular. So
I've seen one or two of your things, but for me, I generally prefer Let's Plays with two people because I prefer people riffing back and forth rather than one person just kind of responding to the game. So this is super relevant to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Absolutely relevant. So relevant, I'm actually going to wind this down.
No. Before you wind this down, at least give me 30 seconds because we did not touch on the comics.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
That would be a really bad thing. 1 second. The Sonic the Hedgehog Archie comics started in '92, and they went all the way to 2017, when the Archie comic finally ended.
Wow, I did not know the run was that long.
Wow.
Yeah. And it never had any reboots. It had time travel, it had dimension travel. It basically, think of it as, it's Marvel Comics, but they're all animals. There's so much going into it. Pretty much every character in every version of Sonic the Hedgehog makes at least a cameo appearance, if not a regular appearance here. This is one of the few places where you can see Sally Acorn, where you can have Amy Rose jealous of Sally Acorn and the attention she gets from Sonic. It's where you can see Silver and Shadow right alongside the Knuckles Chaotix characters. Like, everything in Sonic goes into this one thing, and it's completely insane and wonderful. Like, it is a crazed amalgamation of ideas with shit going on all of the time, and whole dimensions being destroyed, and characters dying or being turned into Robotnik's robots permanently, or bringing people back from the dead, or like there's everything you can imagine from DC or Marvel Comics was in the Sonic Archie comic. It was legitimately its own full continuity of its own.
Damn. And it ran for that long. Wow.
Yeah.
So what'd you say, 92 to 2017?
Yep, 92 to 2017.
25
That
years.
is a
It
long
ran
run.
for 25 years.
Yep.
Wow.
And Sonic the Hedgehog, there were comics outside of that were running as well alongside it for various other games. Like Sonic X had its own comic, Sonic Universe, Sonic Boom, but the Sonic Archie comics never ended. They came out every week, because they were a weekly comic. And they came out every week for 25 years. And Sonic the Hedgehog and the Sonic comics aren't over. IDW has started doing its line in 2018, and they're continuing all the way up now. So, the Sonic IDW comic actually takes place immediately after the Sonic Forces game, and they're trying to keep this as basically connected to the current continuity as much as possible, rather than the Archie comic, which was way the fuck out there and could be anything.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I think that's most of what I had to say. Like, there's a lot of freaking stuff in it, but without somebody else to play off of, I would just be speaking into the air. But it was definitely entertaining, and I hope it doesn't get lost into the abyss. I would really like to see it getting big, some nice big trade compilations to buy. I suppose one thing I will say about the Sonic comic is it was based heavily in the Sat AM comics. because like it starts off with the Freedom Fighters, with Sonic, with Sally, Bunny, Antoine, like all of them. And same thing on the other end, like you got Eggman, you have Snively, Metal Sonic. Like it was very much began from the Sat AM mold, and then they just added in everything from every other series that was ever produced.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
I guess that's
I learned you something today.
All right. Well, there we are. All right. Well, then, in that case, Shanna, do you have any last words to say, or can I put this to bed?
I think I've said everything. Just, I love me some Sonic. What else can I say with that?
Yes, you do. We all do. It's the Sonic we made along the way. All right. So if you have any questions, comments, thoughts on this episode or any other episode of downloadable content, you can let us know on our website, dlcpodcast.com. Click the feedback button. Let us have it. You can reach out to us on Facebook or on Twitter at DLContent.
You're gonna have to have a whole different ending for the final episode, because are people really going to be able to give you feedback after you take everything down?
I mean, I'm not taking everything down immediately. I mean, I just paid for the domain for another year, so I mean, they can still do that. So dlcpodcast.com, and again, every single episode will also still remain on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and Spotify for all of your listening pleasure. So, yeah, we have one more episode to go, and if, Shanna, this was indeed your last one, thank you so much
thank you for having me.
For being on these, this 10-year run with me.
Absolutely.
It has always been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys. Hopefully I'll get to be able to do the last one too. I'm going to try.
All right. You're going to see about getting in that last one, which will be recorded sometime in December, so we hope to see you then. On that fun, wonderful note, all it remains for me to do is to thank Ronny and Shanna for being on this episode. With that, I'm Brian. Have a good one, everybody.
Speeds by Sonic the Hedgehog. For the naked eye, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic, he can really move. Sonic, he's got an attitude. Sonic, he's the fastest thing alive. He storms through